I'm going to be reading aloud now a review of the novelization from Target Books of The Devils. I realise now that those who grew up with the series, certainly in the UK, back in the 70s or 80s, they also experienced it via comic strips in the Doctor Who magazine, short stories, and also the novelizations of the serial. Sometimes they would have seen the classic serial, but have read the novelization of it and then felt that the serial was less vivid than the novelization that they'd read, or they recall having read the serial and read the novelization both, and then as an adult having watched the serial again, had false memories of things happening in the serial which actually happened in the novelization. So I'm here now to read aloud a review of the novelization of the Dæmons. Tim Roll Pickering on the 5th of the 12th '03 writes, Target acquires a new novelizer. Doctor Who and the Dæmons is a minor landmark in the Target novelizations, being the first of the originated books to be written by someone other than Terence Dix or Malcolm Hulke. Till 1993, Barry Letts never managed to achieve an on-air credit as a Doctor Who writer due to various concerns, but here he gets the chance to stretch his literary legs in retelling his first story he co-wrote with Robert Sloman. It's often possible to read a Target novelization and see which side of the 1960s novelizations it most closely resembles in terms of its treatment of the original story. Here Letts seems to be following the example set down by Doctor Who and the Crusaders by rearranging the order of scenes so that instead of lots and lots of short moments you get substantial material before shifting the setting. This can work, but unfortunately here everything in close proximity, and it's so difficult to pull this off without having moments where a character appears to be in two places at once. For example, Bock emerges from the church in passages before the ones detailing his departure from the cavern. This is, however, perhaps the book's only real weakness. On television, The Dæmons is a strong story which attempts to do something different from the norm by exploring the occult and black magic. The explanations given on television were sufficient in that medium, but here more exposition may be required. Letts more circumvents this problem, then tackles it by having characters thinking to themselves how difficult it is to understand the Doctor's explanations for how something is not black magic. The other notable weak point on television was the Doctor's sudden wealth of knowledge about the Dæmons without doing much to discover it through the course of events. Here more explanation is given that he learnt about this in school, but then forgot and only fully realised the events through his researches in Miss Hawthorne's library. It isn't the most perfect explanation, but short of a significant restructuring of the plot, this works a lot better than on television. Otherwise, this book contains many enhancements than upon the televised story. Letts often takes the opportunity to delve into the thoughts of individual characters, so we get to understand how many of them react to the strange events unfolding around them, as well as learning more about the relationship between the Doctor and the Master before they both decided to opt out of Time Lord society. We also get fringe characters beefed up, such as the Coven member in the televised story, who objects to Joe being sacrificed, has now been fleshed out as Stan Wilkins, who is shown to have serious doubts about what he has been drawn into. The pub landlord Bird is enhanced as well, coming across as highly sympathetic as Letts shows how he and others have been convinced by the Master that what they are doing is the right thing. This novelization contains perhaps the first notable continuity error in the Target books as they were originally published. When Joe's initial encounter with the Master and how he hypnotized her is briefly recalled, although it doesn't go into details, it is clearly not referring to the previously published Doctor Who and the Doomsday Weapon, which had claimed to be Joe's first adventure. While as this means the book is closer to the television continuity, it is nevertheless the first step by which the novels gradually lost coherency between one another when one diverged from the television series but another did not. This is not sufficient damage what is an exceptionally good book, 9 out of 10. Doctor Who and the Doomsday Weapon actually refers to Doctor Who, the Colony in Space serial. Anyway, we'll close it here. Thanks everyone, I appreciate it very immensely.